Hi everybody, I'm Dawn. Welcome to my channel. Thank you for visiting with me today. So in this video, we are going to discuss Jocelyn Nungaray, the young lady whose body was found in Houston, the 12-year-old. She's a 12-year-old little girl. And so we're going to discuss that. Now, I do have to tell you, because I know I've had one complaint about this, so I just thought I'd mention it at the beginning of this video like I have done in the past. I have a neurological disorder, and sometimes it's very difficult for me to remember things, so I will have to reference my notes. If that is going to be an issue for you, you can go. I'll catch you in another video. And so the thing is, this issue, it becomes an issue in the evening, but unfortunately the evening is the only time I can really film these videos. So that's really why. If I would do it in the daytime, I wouldn't really need to refer to my notes quite as much. I'd still need to refer to them, but not quite as frequently. But because it's the evening, things tend to get worse in the evening. I just have a little trouble. So please, if you're going to stick around, please just bear with me and be patient, okay? Otherwise, I'll catch you in another video. All right, thank you so much. So Jocelyn Nungaray, this is another hard one. They're all hard. They're all difficult. But so on June 17th, 2024, Billie Jean Jackson found the body of 12-year-old Jocelyn Nungaray on near a bridge on West Rankin Road in Houston, Texas. And at first she thought it was just a mannequin, and then upon closer inspection she realized that it was a human girl. And police were able to obtain grainy video surveillance photos from a local gas station that shows the suspects. And you know, they obtained those the following day. And the two males, there were two males in the video, and they were of unknown age, and they were both wearing ball caps. The young girl, Jocelyn, was at this point, they weren't, when they first found her, they weren't completely sure it was Jocelyn, but I'll just continue. The young girl was last seen by her mother, Alexis Nungaray, on June 16th around 10 p.m. when she was telling her to go to bed because she was supposed to get up and go to work with her the next day. And Houston police said Jocelyn snuck out of the apartment on Rankin Road sometime between 10 p.m. and 12 a.m. And investigators said Jocelyn's boyfriend, at 12 years old, I wasn't allowed to have a boyfriend at 12. I don't mean to meander, but I just want to say this real quick. My brother's wife's sister, her 11-year-old, asked me to talk to her mom because she's not allowed to have a boyfriend. And I said, you don't need a boyfriend. I mean, at 12 years old, I was still beating boys up. You know? I was kicking them and throwing rocks at them and stuff. Boyfriend at 12 years old. Jeez. Anyway, okay. Investigators said Jocelyn's boyfriend was the last person who talked to her on the phone, and he told officials that he heard her speaking with two men at a gas station. Christian Goffney, an employee at the 7-Eleven on Rankin Road, that's where her apartment complex is, where Jocelyn lived, said he noticed Jocelyn hiding behind a storage unit around 11:30 p.m. and he noticed police in the area, but did not think anything was wrong. But I don't think at that time anything was wrong just yet. And the woman who had found her body, Billie Jean Jackson, called police and told them about the body she saw, and the Houston Police Department dive team recovered Jocelyn's body from the water under the bridge. And at the same time, police were responding to the call. Alexis, that is Jocelyn's mom, was waking up to start her normal routine. She woke up her son, then she went to wake up Jocelyn and realized she was gone. So she said she searched the apartment and all around the complex, and Alexis pinged Jocelyn's cell phone location, which brought her to the creek where she saw police canvassing the area. That must have filled her with horror right then and there. It would have filled me with horror for sure. But and she told the officer her daughter was missing. An hour later, she received a call that the body they found was possibly Jocelyn. On June 18th, Houston police announced that the Harris County Institute of Forensic Sciences ruled Jocelyn's death a homicide and that she had died from strangulation. And on June 19th, Alexis, again, Jocelyn's mom, spoke publicly about Jocelyn's unaliving for the first time, and she described her daughter as goofy and said she had her own little spunk. She had Jocelyn when she was 15 years old, so her mom is young. Her mom's 27, and it's just so upsetting to me. On June 20th, 2 men were captured by police. At the time, they were just people of interest. Johan Jose Rangel Martinez, age 26, and Franklin Jose Pena Ramos, 21. At first, they were only considered persons of interest. I just said that. But were quickly named suspects and are both being charged with capital murder. And reports say these 2 males were caught by Border Patrol and released into the U.S. weeks before unaliving Jocelyn. And ICE states they are both illegal immigrants from Venezuela. I know I don't want to start a political argument in the comments at all, but that is illegal immigration. It's not really a topic. I've thought about it, like when voting and things like that. I've given it thought, but I guess I don't put enough thought into it because apparently this happens quite a bit. Now, granted, most of the crimes that happen in the U.S., violent crimes, are done by Americans. Stephen Stearns, American. Casey Anthony, American. Ted Bundy, American. The prisons are full of people who are American who committed violent crimes. So I'm not in any way discounting the problem of violent crime in America by other Americans. But that problem is bad enough. But to have people come here illegally and commit violent crimes, it's, things are bad enough as it is. And now they're going to get coddled and babied in prison. Do you know what I'm trying to say? I'm not trying to start a political debate. That's not my intention here. But I'm just saying, never mind. Okay, I'll just continue. So court documents state the suspects lured Jocelyn to the bridge where they stayed for over 2 hours. They tied her up, removed her pants, unalived her, and threw her body in the creek. Then they walked back to their apartment, and police found evidence related to Jocelyn's unaliving in their apartment. And on June 21st, Jocelyn's family held a candlelight vigil to honor her, which is so terrible. But I have an article that I want to read to you that I think gives better information. That I just kind of gave you a summary of what happened, but I want to read this article to you. New details. Men accused of killing 12-year-old Jocelyn Nungaray were looking for money to leave Houston after unaliving. I'm sorry, I can't say the M word. YouTube doesn't like it. I may have said it a couple times in this video, but hopefully YouTube won't catch it. Bond set at $10 million for 26-year-old suspect Franklin Pena. Did I get the names backwards? Let me see here. Oh, it looks like I got them backwards. So Franklin Pena is the 26-year-old and Johan Jose Rangel Martinez is the 21-year-old. Okay, that's how it was written in the article I read earlier. So let me just read this. A $10 million bond was set for Franklin Pena, 26, one of 2 suspects charged in the unaliving of 12-year-old Jocelyn Nungaray. Pena, along with 22-year-old Johan Jose Martinez Rangel, faces charges of capital unaliven in this tragic case. Pena stood in front of a district court judge while handcuffed wearing a yellow jumpsuit. Prosecutors gave a rundown of the suspect's whereabouts the night of June 17th before Jocelyn's body was discovered in a North Houston creek. The girl's body was found at 6:49 a.m. under a bridge. She was nude from the waist down, her hands and feet bound. The autopsy reported her cause of death as strangulation, and she also had cuts on her backside. I'm thankful for the ruling today, the amount of bail that was set. I know for a fact they're not going anywhere. They're going to stay where they belong, and justice will prevail, said Kelvin Alvarenga, Jocelyn's grandfather. During Monday's news conference after Pena's arraignment, prosecutors said both men were looking for money to get out of town after Jocelyn's unaliven. Pena called his boss, who works at a local construction company. There was an understanding that something went wrong. Someone got hurt and someone was killed, but as far as any more details exactly what he said, no, said Megan Long, the lead prosecutor. Long said the boss notified police. Good move, boss. That is one of the ways that the police were able to determine where they were and who the suspects were, said Long. Investigators said Jocelyn snuck out of her family's apartment sometime after 10 p.m. on June 16th. Pena and Martinez visited a local bar for hours, and they eventually saw Jocelyn at a 7-Eleven and asked her for directions. Court records show they lured Jocelyn to a bridge. Pena told authorities he tried to tell Martinez to stop, but Martinez put his arm around Jocelyn's neck and covered her mouth. Martinez allegedly tied Jocelyn up and told Pena to put her body in the water to remove any DNA. She was found without her pants and had cuts on her body. So far, only Pena has been arraigned. Jocelyn's mother, Alexis Nungaray, said justice is the only option for a goofy and loving daughter. I just want people to remember, I know this is a very high-profile case, but she was still my firstborn. I was a teen mom, fought for her age 15, so now 27, I'm still fighting for her. And just remember that she was a very special little girl that deserves her justice, said Nungaray. Both men are from Venezuela. Border Patrol released both men on their own recognizance after they were arrested near El Paso earlier this year. Jocelyn's grandfather is calling for leaders to change the immigration laws. This tragedy has caused a debate over immigration in the U.S. Everybody had to see that coming, you know. Both President Joe Biden and former President Donald Trump weighed in on this case over the weekend. Now, there is an article about that, but because I want to try and be as... I don't want to get into it with that, with Biden and Trump, okay? They're both crazy, in my opinion. In response to the unaliven, a White House spokesperson expressed condolences to Jocelyn's family. Our hearts go out to family and loved ones of Jocelyn Nungaray. We cannot comment on active law enforcement cases, but fundamentally, anyone found guilty of this type of heinous and shocking crime should be held accountable to the fullest extent of the law. That just feels like a standard response, you know. I mean, it's great. Thoughts and prayers are great, but it doesn't bring the little girl back. It doesn't change what happened to her. Former President Donald Trump has attributed the girl's death to the Biden administration's border policies. Trump shared a post on Truth Social from Ollie London about Jocelyn's murder, blaming the administration's immigration stance for her death. I get that. I understand where they're going with, but the people responsible for her death are those two creeps that killed her. They're responsible. Now, they wouldn't be here if it wasn't for the immigration leniency or whatever, but it would be some other little girl, maybe a younger little girl. It's gonna be a little girl, whether it's here or in Venezuela. But again, I'm not trying to get political. I'm just going to say they were going to get a little girl, whether it was here or wherever they're from. We have a new Biden migrant killing. It's only going to get worse, and it's all crooked Joe Biden's fault. He's a disgrace to the office of president. He's a disgrace to America. I look forward to seeing him at the fake debate on Thursday. Let him explain why he has allowed millions of people to come into our country illegally, Trump posted. Well, I don't think people should come here illegally. There is, you still have to hold the two that actually did it responsible. They did it. And they were going to do it to some other child. And don't tell me, oh, I wouldn't care if they did it to some child in Venezuela, because those children are being unalived every day and having horrible things happen to them every day. But we don't think of them. We don't think about that because we don't have to see it and listen to it every day. But just remember, there are children all around the world that these things are happening to that we hear nothing about. Lauren Hitt, a spokesperson for the Biden campaign, responded by criticizing Trump's approach. Donald Trump is making Americans less safe by blocking the border deal. I don't care about any of that. I'm still in the same article. I don't care about any of that. The judge and attorneys also spoke about the death penalty in this case once lab results are confirmed. At this time, Harris County District Attorney Ken Ogg said, the current charges the suspects face do not make them eligible for the death penalty. Ogg explains why this case is not currently eligible for the death penalty. Our laws treat the age of victims differently, and they've changed where they draw the line. It used to be children under 6. If they were unalive, that created an underlying offense that would support death penalty and capital unaliving. That law was expanded to 10 years old and under, and then further expanded from 10 to 15. If the victim was 10 to 15 years old, yet the death penalty was taken off the table by the legislature, and instead they suggested that life without parole would be the appropriate charge. But age is not the only consideration in this case or any case. The underlying actions of the criminals. This victim was found, bound and without clothing from the waist down in the water, and we just think that there's a good possibility. We hope that there's evidence that remains to be tested. Ogg said if lab results show that SA happened, they would become eligible for the death penalty. Well, I'm sure SA happened. I mean, they took her pants off. Prosecutor said he had an ankle monitor on when ICE arrested him, but is unknown if it was cut off. When Ogg was asked about the ankle monitor, she stated, I can't speak to the ankle monitor that this fellow that Franklin Pino was wearing. I can't speak to ICE putting ankle monitors on folks and releasing them. Our immigration system is broken, and if there was ever a case that reflected that, it's this one. Martinez Rangel is expected to appear in court on Tuesday. Okay, so that's it. So that's the Jocelyn Nungaray case so far. I will be keeping up with it. I will be following it. And it's hideous. I'm sick of these things happening to children. I have something to talk about every day that's unpleasant and horrible. And in the meantime, I'm still working on my Kaylee Anthony video, so that'll be coming at you soon. But anyway, that's it. I think I did pretty good with my notes. I don't think I had to reference them quite as much as I thought I would. But I will talk to everyone later. Thank you so much for watching. And we will be looking at this case continuing for, until something happens. So I will talk to everyone later. Bye.